Hello everybody, it's Karen. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I've got a video I'm doing today for Pixie Dust Designs. They asked me to guest design for them, and then they sent me these beautiful flower dies. So I'm using, this is the Bergenia. They are layering flower dies. And today I'm going to use the Bergenia and the Daffodil, and this one here is the Daffodil. I will have another video coming for you hopefully, and I will be doing the lily and the tulip in that one. So to start, I'm just quickly showing you what I did for these Bergenia flowers. I have used some Catherine Pooler inks in Pucker Up, Flirty Fuchsia, and just a little of the crushed violet on the inside layers. So these ones I'm doing right now. So you can see I wasn't being terribly precise with my coloring or anything. I was just trying to get some of the right colors in until it looked kind of good. Now for these stamens I used Copic markers. This is YG quadruple 0, so 0, 0, 0, 0. And I've just put that on the very tips. And then I brought in an RV, well, this one is RV 55. I wasn't all that happy with this color when I was done, but I had done it, so I've left it in there for you. And I just added that. When I had Googled them, it looked like their stamens were quite reddishly purple. So these were super easy to glue together, and you can follow the diagram on the back actually, which helped a lot. Now, this is my first card. I am doing a very simple card for the first one because I know not everybody likes my more complicated ones, but this is the pinpoint leaf die plate from Memory Box, and I'm using the Greeteries Happy sentiment there. And I've just used that same Flirty Fuchsia to color that one in when I stamped it up. Now I've got a top folding note card. It's an A2 size card. And again, I'm taking that same Flirty Fuchsia and just going around the edges of that card because I had trimmed down this pinpoint leaf plate to be a little bit smaller than the size of the card. Now I'm playing around, and I know I'm just using some artistic license to hang those Bergenia upside down, but I just kind of like the way they sort of fell from the top, and so I'm just going to glue them in place now. The bottom ones I just used glue, and then that top one you can see I've added some double-sided foam tape to that one, just so it stood up a little bit more, and I'm just having those hang down from the left-hand corner. And then all I had left was to glue that sentiment in place, and then I glued that little birthday and tucked it in underneath the happy. And now those little dots, well, I didn't have anything that matched, so I made my own. I've used that same Flirty Fuchsia on a piece of scrap card, and I'm using 2 different size punches to punch out circles. And then I used some glossy accents on top of those, covered them up, and then I just sprinkled on some glitter. So this is a clear glitter that I'm just sprinkling on. And then I glued those onto the front of my card. Okay, so I have a second card. Now you can see this one is a lot more complicated than the first, but it's not hard, I promise. So I'm using the Daffodil and the Bergenia dies. Now I haven't added any shaping or anything else to these, so it's just the layering of the flowers. They are beautiful flowers. But I'm starting with a 6-inch tall piece of card by 11 inches wide, and I'm scoring this at 2 3/4 inches, 5 1/2, and 8 1/4 inches. And so now we're going to fold this card in half right down the middle line there. So you could easily change this. Each section is folded in half or scored in half. So if you wanted to change up the size, just fold whatever size you choose in half, and then half again for the front and half again for the back, and that will give you this card fold. So I'm folding this second piece, the back piece, to the back. Now I am going to fold these back again the other way because I actually want this to be a gatefold card. So, but I want it to be able to bend both directions. So that's why I'm folding it in both directions here. And so there you have, that's a gatefold card. Now this is my mock-up. I saw this card done by Sam Calcott of Mixed Up Craft, and I will link to her video down below. So you could choose, I'm going to put a fence in mine, like this mock-up, But you could choose to fold that front flap to the back and have your card go like that in the envelope. You could do a gatefold like I'm doing here, or you can even fold these two pieces to the back to put it in your envelope so that the flowers are all out on the front when the card is pulled out of the envelope. So here I've now added some panels to the front and the inside of my card, and I need to make a fence. Now the fence I had there was from paper rose, but it was way too small when I put these flowers in. Kind of looked like a foot fence. So I am going to make a fence. I've got a scrap of cardstock that is 2.5 inches tall, and I'm just cutting off 1/4 inch sections. And then I put about 4 of these together at once, and I'm just cutting a little V out of the top of these to make the fence pieces. So there you can see it there. And then I've cut little 1/8 of an inch strip stringers to go along my fence. So you can see I've put all my little fence slats on a sticky mat, and I've lined them up as best I could, and I'm just putting glue just under where I want this stringer to go, and I did the same on the bottom. Now I'm going to cover the inside of this. I've just chosen a green cardstock and I've glued it onto the back, and I'm trimming that down. And this is just to hide where all the stems of the flowers will end up going. Now I trimmed off the bottom edge because mine wasn't very straight. And now we need to score this in 1/4 inch from each end. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I, for some reason, rotated this around and I'm scoring again at 1/4 inch in. But then we also need to score this in the middle. So because it's 6 inches wide, we'll score it at 3 inches. So right down, and unfortunately I had a fence board in my way. So I was trying to get that to go as much as I could. It ended up being a bit of a problem, that fence board. But now I'm folding everything in a mountain fold, and because that fence board is being difficult, I put this up against my ruler and then just tried folding it and pressing it from the other side like that. Now I've got 1 inch wide scrap strips of cardstock here. This one is 3 inches wide, then there's one that's 4 inches and another that's 5. And I'm scoring all of these in 1/4 inch in from each end. And these are going to be what we attach the flowers to. So they can be any kind of paper down below. But you can see I've added some double-sided tape to those flaps at the end, and I've scored and folded those under. But we want to curl these a bit. So I'm using my bone folder just to curl that paper so it's got a bit of a bend to it. Just like we used to curl ribbon, same thing. So you just run your bone folder along it and it will curl. And I've done that with all of these. And now on the front of my card, I've trimmed down those fence pieces at the top just so they didn't show through on the other side, and I've put double-sided tape on these as well. So I've removed the release paper on the left-hand side of the flap there, and I am lining up the centers and the bottom edge of this fence. So you really want to be sure that the centers line up and that it's straight along the bottom. So that's all I'm doing there. And then you can give this a good burnish now that it's pressed down. Now to attach these inset pieces, we're going to roughly position those over the center fold and then just press them down flat. Now because they were curled, when the card bends, that curl will come back, but when the card is flat, they lie flat. So just don't be worried about making them go flat when you stick them down. So now this next one, I've taken the release paper off, and you just want to try to center it as best you can over the one below and just place it down right on top, and I'm pushing it down flat. And then you can see they will add all that extra dimension to the card. And then here's the last one, again going straight across the other two, nice and flat. So once those are in place, then we can remove the release paper on the tape on the other side of the gate or the fence, and we'll press that in. So just make sure that the bottom edge is lined up, and now you can give everything a good burnish. And so you can see all the dimension that you're going to get now. Okay, so when I went to glue these in, I realized the heads were, because of all the layering, it was just too floppy, so I cut a bunch more stems from 110-pound cardstock. And I've just glued those on, and now you can see it holds that flower up really quite nicely. The one on the right doesn't have it, and you can see it just flops around. So I think 2 layers is fine for these flowers. But now you can choose to glue these flowers onto any of those 3 pieces we put inside on either the front or the back of them, or you could glue it right back to the back of the card. But the one thing you want to watch is that you don't cross that fold line. So I can go right up to the fold line, but not over, because I need to fold that down after. So I'm just putting glue on the bottom 1 inch of my stem, because those cross pieces we have are only 1 inch. And then I'm just going to position it in place and hold it down, let it glue, or let the glue set up, and then there it is. So that's the first flower done. And then again with this one, I was just making sure it didn't cross over the fold line. Gave it a good press, made sure. And then at this point I realized I better start doing some flower arranging. So that's all I'm doing there. Just trying to figure out how all these pieces will go in. Now those extra little white blossoms are from Pink Fresh. They're the dainty blossoms, and there is the finished inside of the card. So there is so much depth to this, and I just think it's beautiful. Those are the Pink Fresh blossoms, and then the leaves were extra ones, I believe, from the daffodils. The Just For You is from a penny black dye, but look at all that depth that you get with this. It's just lovely. I have this card sitting on my desk, honestly, and I don't want to give it away. It just makes me happy. So I think it's really quite fun. Now here you'll see there is lots of bulk at the bottom, not quite as much at the top, but the bottom has the fence and all those cross pieces and then all the stems. So it's definitely a belly band kind of a card. So here I have made a centerpiece for my belly band. It's just another one of the Bergenia flowers. The Happy Birthday is a very old Simon Says stamp die, and I've just put it on a scalloped white circle. Now I've got a piece of coordinating solid cardstock. This pattern paper came from Craft Consortium's Enchanted Jungle collection, and they make solid colored cardstock that coordinates. So this does coordinate really well with that purple pattern paper. But I'm just folding that band to the back just loosely. You don't want it to be so tight you can't get it off. And when I've got it pressed back, I'm just going to put some glue on this seam and then fold the other one on top, just lining up the bottom edge, just making sure it's nice and straight. And then you want to be sure you can get that to slide on and off. So now with the seam side up, I'm attaching this centerpiece to cover the seam and just giving that a press, and now that will go right over the card, and it'll have to be one of these, either hand it to the person or pay for the extra bulk of mailing. So that's this card. Now when I take it off, you'll see the inside again. And I just think those flowers are so beautiful. They really were easy to use. You can write on the back. But I hope that's given you guys some ideas. These are lovely flowers. Thank you for stopping by, and I'll talk to you next time.